I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Pillar, would you please lead us in a prayer?
For one, bow their heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank and praise you for the beauty of the change of seasons. We pray that you watch over those who are involved in harvesting, that it can be a safe endeavor for them. We pray that you watch over the activities of this meeting tonight, that they too can be pleasing to you and that we can work well on behalf of our citizens here in Hazen. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Okay, the reading and approval of minutes from September 6th, please.
Motion to approve and suspend reading.
Motion by Hack,
Second.
second by Weidrich. Discussion. All in favor of these minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Minutes are approved. Approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion by Weidrich,
Second.
second by Pillar. Discussion. All in favor of the agenda, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. 5A, engineers report. Grant, you're up.
All right, good evening. Got a couple of things tonight. We'll start with our construction update. Things are slowing down a lot out here, you can tell. So DN tanks, next week they'll start filling that tank and pressure testing. They were waiting on one more thing that got lost in delivery. So they'll start next week on that. And then I don't think they're doing anything right now up here. They just have the week off. And then after that, they'll do the site work and complete that. They have the fence and the parking pad in the area. And then that's their last little bit. And then once that's done, TANs, their last remaining item is going to be to make that connection with the existing tank and then do the demo on the existing tank. So that's what they're waiting on. They completed the permanent access road on Diapolis. And then they did get their pressure tested back, T-test back, and everything passed on those. So that's all good to go. Tonight we have DN tanks. We have their application for payment number 5. And I would recommend approval of their application for payment 5 for $392,999.59.
So moved.
A motion by Pillar,
Second.
second by Hack. Discussion. Roll call. Oh, sorry.
This isn't final payment for TAN. They would still have a final payment?
Well, that was for DN tanks there.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah, so DN tanks, we won't pay them until that testing's complete and the site work's complete.
Yep, okay.
Until they turn it over to you guys.
Very good.
When's the electricians come in?
Once that tank is fully filled and passes the test and everything, so they should be coming up here. They said sometime mid-September, end of September.
Okay.
And hopefully it's on the meeting tomorrow.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Roll call.
Miller. Aye. Hack.
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Weidrich. Aye. Omenauer.
Aye.
All right, and then TAN construction, like I said, they're just waiting to make that final connection over there. We have application for payment number 8 from TAN, and I would recommend approval of application for payment 8 for $27,542.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Weidrich,
Second.
second by Stern. Discussion.
There are no extras built into this one here. I know they had been having some negotiation discussions with you guys.
Yep, and that's coming up next year. We didn't build any of those into this. We're gonna kind of look at those extra costs tonight and make a decision on those.
Any more discussion? Roll call.
Weidrich. Aye. Stern.
Aye.
Hack.
Aye.
Miller. Aye. Omenauer.
Aye. Motion carried.
And then, like we said, the last remaining piece will be the electrician that'll come in, so hopefully tomorrow he's on the meeting and get a better schedule again. He said it'll be 3 days to a week of work up here and then we'll be done. And I did send you that information on that. I haven't heard back on anything else, so you can ask him again tomorrow. Then, like I talked about, that last thing would just be some extra costs for TAND. I know we got a couple quotes on some things, and then there were some things added throughout the project that were necessary for the project. So I'll start with the things that were added and that were necessary for the project that we would recommend approval of tonight, and then we can go through the other items that we can add as we go and kind of have a discussion on that. The first one would be exploratory excavation. They spent 4 hours up there on Diapolis. There were those service lines that came in that weird spot, and then they had to use some extra couplings over there. So I have it itemized out. I believe you guys should have that in your packet or it's on the screen. But it comes out to $3,228, and that's for the additional hours and material spent on that.
That's for their potholing between Novak's and Hitchland's up there, I think.
Yeah,
Not on Diapolis.
No? Oh, no.
It was down at the end because there was some question on those connections from IHOP.
Oh, okay.
yeah. I think the services came on the hydrant lead even, and yeah, there's something weird there. And then the next one is Elbowwoods grading. We requested that it did some extra grading on Elbowwoods. That was for the city, and that was $2,100. So they completed that work. And then the last one, or two more, then the other one's a hydrant extension. They had to add a hydrant extension, we removed that one. That's $1,700. And then there's a pressure testing corporation. They had to add a corp at the top there so they could pressure test and bleed the air off. So that was for the saddle, the corporation, and the poly line. And then their time on that as well. That was $2,433.21. So that is why we have contingencies built in, so those fall within the project.
I got a question, I guess.
Yep.
So on this, I guess, extension, I guess, which one is that? Is that the one that was way up?
On Elbowwoods, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was the one
Elbowwoods.
way up.
It's the one right up the, yeah.
So we got it up
So
higher.
So is that one in the middle of the street, kind of? I mean, ways up,
Yeah, it's up by that gate where the temporary road starts.
okay.
Yeah, right up there. So we were gonna have it
Okay,
moved
it's way up
down.
on the north side then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was gonna be
Okay.
south further, and then we moved it up, and then that changed the elevation.
Oh,
So we saved money on pipe on that.
okay.
Extend it through.
Okay. All right.
So those are the ones we'd recommend adding into a change order. We worked with the contractor throughout that, and they have completed the work on those. And then we get into the ones that are optional. We can have the discussion on this. So hydrant 1, south of Main. There should be a map. I have one here as well. This would be the one down by the well site, I believe, south of Main, south of here. That one we would replace. So we do a remove and replace on that one. These were recommended by Dave, right?
Yeah.
This
Ones
was,
that you had
this was
issues.
one of the ones based on the age of the,
The 1938s.
So we thought we'd just get quotes. Doesn't cost us money to get quotes, so we can take a look. And then you see 2 and 3 there. We got a quote to remove number 3 because we drew the hydrant circles on there, and 3 was very redundant. There's plenty of coverage in the area. That must be for the old water tower that was there. And 4 was all the way up by the All Sports Arena. That one was to remove and replace as well.
so the one you said that was redundant, what's the cost to remove that individually?
To remove, that would be 3, it would be $7,800.
$7,800.
That includes concrete and curb and gutter.
Okay.
To get the sign up there.
Are we discussing?
Yeah,
or
these
you wanted
we
to present all of them first?
I can give you some prices on these here. Hydrant 1 south of Main was $18,800. Hydrant 2 Main and First was $23,900. Hydrant 3 was $7,840, and hydrant 4 was $17,700. Those just range with the surface restoration that's on top.
Okay. The one that's by where the water tower was, is that an aged one as well?
Yeah, that's one of the old.
Okay, all right. Because I was gonna say, if it's just not necessary anymore, then, and if it's still functional and everything like that, I don't know that we would wanna spend 7,000 some, but if it's, well, maybe I guess my opinion would be, why spend the money on that now? If it's
Is it-
obsolete and it
Is it
doesn't work.
functional, Dave, as you're aware?
It is working,
Yes.
it was just, I brought it up because of age,
Yep,
and I just did about older ones or whatever. Like I could always kind of shy away from that one or.
Well, my opinion on that particular one is if it's redundant, and it's functional right now, I don't, the only thing is that we're paying 40% of the demolition cost on it because we're capturing this under this upgrade project. So maybe it would be cheaper to take it out now and not have to worry about it. But it might just sit there for another 20 years
not
and
be
never
used.
have to worry anything about it. So it's kind of a, risk factor there in that, and even if it does fail, let's say it fails and we can't open it or something, we can kind of lock it out, if you will, and call it non-functional and maybe wait for another opportunity to where there's some cost sharing or something on it in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think the prices on those are just extremely high, so. I mean, I guess like $20,000, I guess to change out a hydrant.
I know, that's.
So how does this
That's what I thought
compare
too.
when we did the consolidation and the change out of the ones down by the welding shop there? Is this right in alignment with that, or is this higher?
It's close. The only thing that's a little more expensive is the connection to existing. I'm not positive why, but it's not astronomically higher. I think the hydrant was $100 more, just a little bit more. Probably ranges with prices of things too. But other than that, everything checked out pretty close.
I think it's expensive as well, but we did that on those other ones that were non-functioning, 1930-some vintage. I don't know that we want to wait for them to fail, because you never know when an emergency is going to happen to where you have to rely on them. I was just concerned on whether or not the pricing was in alignment with what they did earlier. If it's alignment with what they did earlier, then I can support it. Expensive, but we're paying 40% of it.
Well, but even that last one though, I'm pretty sure, I guess that we then, moved it too, right? I mean, it wasn't like it was in the same spot and we just put in a new.
Yeah, we got rid of the two and added one, and moved it to the middle. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the cost on that one, do you remember? Monty, do you have that, or?
Actually, it was change order number 2, I can't remember that.
Yeah, that's what's going to help me make a decision on that.
I don't remember it being over 20 or even 15. But
Well, and I'm not casting accusations, but, we've got a couple of other contentious points on some add-ons that they would like to see us pay for. And we're kind of being resistant on that right now. So when we asked for additional pricing, I wanted to kind of see how it would compare.
I'd say it's close to 16 or 17.
What I didn't want to see is them recouping, if we're going to turn down that other, recoup those costs in this add-on project. And I'm
so our
just gonna-
cost is like 6,800 then for that one, for the 17.
And I do know in an earlier conversation, these, the fire hydrant type things, we got it through on those first 3, right? But I don't know if,
As far as state water commission, you mean?
yeah,
Yeah. Jared did mention, he said he thinks he can get these 3 approved.
he felt pretty confident, but he said it's not a foregone conclusion. I guess it depends on whose set of eyes take a look at it at the state level. So it's possible that cost could be fully the city's.
And then there are other items on here I can keep going. I just have all the
We'll
numbers.
circle back.
So the access road gate, that was just to add a gate, just like that temporary road one, and then a little bit of fence to connect over where it kind of takes a 90-degree into the house or goes straight on the access road just to block it off so people aren't driving up there. That came in at $4,400. Access point would just be the sanitary sewer clean out, we're gonna name it that. $8,550. That one has an asphalt patch in the middle of the road that's about 4,000 of that right there.
A little bit more detail on that. That's between the two manholes on the street just adjacent to Senex that the car wash feeds into. And we've had problems in the past back feeding into the first residence on that street due to excessive sediment and stuff coming from the car wash. We have had recent work that done in that particular manhole, the first manhole, that was, looks like it's very good, but we've got a distance between that and the next manhole that exceeds what's normally considered acceptable distance, and we don't have the tools to be able to pressure wash all the way down that distance. And so we had some kind of behind the scenes conversations on maybe putting a clean out halfway versus doing a whole nother manhole. And that's what this is when it says access point.
But even at that price, I think we just installed a manhole, it was like $9,000 or $10,000.
A whole manhole?
I want to say I was closer to 22, if that went over on third you're
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah.
I want to say I was closer to 20 until all was said and done. I think that's-
The one by your place?
Yeah.
I'm not positive, but
And then the last one is just the Clearwell Reservoir demolition. That would be a subtraction, and that would subtract about $59,000 off the contract. So those ones are on there for you guys to discuss and make a decision, and then I can put together a change order of what you guys want on it and get it to Monty tomorrow, so we can have that discussion.
Can we find out from Jared first if those 3 hydrants qualify by the state, or?
I don't know, it would have to be when he submits, when we
Oh.
submit
it's
it.
basically
Right,
when you
yeah.
submit.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And his thought would be to use the quantities we already have in the project and just run them over, and just have it be an overrun on the quantities in the project. So.
Okay.
And then the gate one, so Jared did want me to let you guys know that all of these should be done by TAND, since they are water main or sanitary sewer. But the access road gate one could be done by anyone. If there's a local guy here that wants to do it, that wants to do some barbed wire. Access road gate, that one does seem a little high for what they have to do.
I was
4,000?
thinking 4,000 for a gate.
So that could be done by anyone, and then you could submit the invoice to us. We could put it through TAND, and they'd add their 15% markup, but it could still come in cheaper.
So there, we would just need to, if we want to just hold off on that one there a little bit here, get a bid, that bid would need to come in,
15%.
15, and understand that we would still be paying 40% of that lower price then as well. Okay. So we would,
If you run through the project, yeah.
as long as it's, 15% below that, then we should be good.
So that's the gate by Murray's house?
Yes,
Isn't that already, no?
No, it's the main road right up there.
it'd be on top of Diapolis, right
Yeah,
before it
right.
goes into Temporary Road.
Yeah, I guess that is.
Yeah, it's temporary.
It is.
Yeah.
Isn't the gate there already?
There's a gate on the Temporary Road,
Right.
but not on the one to the east.
This is,
This will be the access road.
The access road over by my house.
I think that there's a gate there already.
No, not on that one. Now, what happens if we move that one gate?
Yeah, why can't we reuse that one?
I think Murray did request to keep those.
But in our planning and zoning meeting tonight, I made it clear I don't want to keep those.
Okay.
That doesn't access his property, that accesses somebody else's property. I mean, the one in the far
Oh, the
northwest
north
corner?
one?
Yeah,
Yeah, the way.
Yeah.
the north one. I don't care about the south one.
Yeah.
But the one way up on the north side, he doesn't need to.
Yeah, so we could reuse that one, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're $120 at Runnings. We looked it up.
yeah, throw it back at TAN to say reuse that up there and then have them reissue you a price. And in the meantime, if there's somebody that we can reach out local or whatever on that, then we can compare the two and make a decision.
Mhm. Yep.
We got time that we can do that by our next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
So then I got a question, I guess. Even if we didn't, I guess, we didn't tear down the old, I guess, water tower, I guess what would that, I guess, save?
The water tower?
Yeah.
$50,000.
So when they tear that down, they reclaim there's, is that on a concrete pad, I'm assuming?
Yep, and they
That
have to
pad
remove
come out?
it, I forget what we say, 12 inches below the surface or 24 inches below. So they have to dig down, and we kind of assumed a 24-inch thick slab, so they have to remove it that deep.
Okay.
And they flatten it out and seed it.
You're not suggesting you keep the tower there, are you?
Well, I guess I know of a guy, I guess, that would wanna buy it. Leaving it there, you know.
Make it into a fort or what?
Well, they want it for just storage, I guess.
When's he gonna come talk to us about that?
As soon as it's up for sale.
So we need to make some decisions. You know, the hydrant, replacing the hydrants, you know, it's never gonna be cheaper for us to do unless we get a free grant to redo these things.
If we're pretty darn close to what their original cost on when they were, if the same or pretty close there, I would agree with what Jerry says there. And I just, when it comes to that, we've probably dodged bullets on some of the work that we didn't do in the past when we had a couple of hydrants on there that weren't working on our annual inspection. The ones that we did initially here, got rid of the two and put the one in there. I would hate to see a situation, particularly in the locations we're talking about here, you're close to a lumber yard and stuff like that.
And All Seasons Arena. Big building.
It is a big ticket, there's no question, but we're paying 40% of it, so I don't know that we're ever gonna get that cheaper either.
It's all gonna get more expensive.
Well, but if you go off of that old price, I mean, there, on that project, I guess they tore out two of them, and they put one in, and they had to then,
So the whole price of tearing out two and adding that one in was equivalent to what the cost of putting
Replacing.
one replacement?
The difference on that one is there's no concrete or asphalt work. That'd be the big difference there. But it was about $17,000 to remove
That was
two
to remove two and put one in.
with no concrete or asphalt. So it looks like all these have. The only one that doesn't have concrete or asphalt would be All Season Arena.
So when you look at their breakdown of their price, do they break it down to? And so if you took out the concrete piece of it, then are you in alignment with it?
So on hydrant 2 on Main and First, you have $6,800 worth of concrete, and then your total was $23,900.
So that would have been 17 grand
Yeah.
to replace one hydrant, where like Casey said, they took two out, finished those out, and then.
Still not
replaced
adding up.
So their hydrant price went from 68 to 71, 6,800 to
That
71.
that could be reasonable, I mean, prices change almost weekly now out there in the open market, so.
Their connection to existing price is the same as their last change order. Removal of hydrant is cheaper.
Grant, feel free to sit down here if it's easier to just set the papers down here and sit.
Spread them all out.
Yeah.
Their water main 6-inch is cheaper. Their gate valve is $1,000 more.
possible too.
Dustin, are you familiar with that fire hydrant? The one up by the All Seasons Arena?
No, I don't think,
I did
in
mention
the
it,
10 years, I don't think I've touched any of those.
I did mention it to Corey about that one like by the, by the main doors where you go in. But just kitty corner across the street towards the patio homes, there is a hydrant there. That one maybe could just be eliminated. Because the next hydrant is less than a block away.
You guys were drawing those funny circles and stuff on all of your, on the drawings for each one of those locations, or just where the three of them were in close proximity to one another on the south side?
We did the south side ones. I guess we didn't do the all seasons one. I don't know how that works with that being right there on the property, if that's fire protection or insurance or anything.
The one thing I don't like about that is it's right next to the
It
building
is
on the
really close to the
downwind
building.
side.
So if there is a fire, you probably can't use it
Probably not gonna
anyways.
be tying on to that one.
It is very close to the building.
It's like right,
8
Yeah.
feet.
Yeah,
and on the downwind side generally.
And I think without drawing circles there, it would stand to reason if it's just kitty corner across by the patio homes, that would probably cover you guys for,
I would think so too, yeah.
so maybe we
Yeah,
could,
that one was really close.
so maybe we could exclude that one there. We continue to service it, or, you know, what we do
Right.
to check it, to make
Yeah,
sure that it's
not
functional and
abandoned,
everything
but
like
just,
that, but yeah. Because that may be one that you end up using on a patio home, if it's right close to the one that's,
Correct.
you know.
You could go the opposite direction.
That's the cheapest one, right?
17,700.
How much of the remaining two basically
So
on the list?
18,800 and 23,900 comes to 42,700 plus the removal of the one would be 78,40.
Down off the
50,000.
table already.
The removal,
Just
leave
leave
it.
it there for now.
So just do 1 and 2.
That's what I would recommend doing, since the other ones are kind of doubled up if they do go bad.
Yeah,
Still
you're not-
covered technically.
Yeah.
And we could figure out some way, I know, was that several years ago when we had that real bad frost, in Underwood, they froze hydrants left and right that one winter. I swear, it was weekly, they were freezing one up. They started just building wooden boxes and putting over the top of the hydrants because they couldn't keep up with trying to fix them. If they could get the water shut off, they left them and put wood boxes over them. So if we ever have that problem, we could do that too for,
I think what we were forecasting our situation to be more so was the availability of replacement parts for a 1930-some vintage.
the other two, I could see us replacing those, one or two.
1 and 2.
Is that a motion?
I'll make a motion to replace 1 and 2. Yeah. 40,000.
42,700.
Do we have anything beyond this year?
The other ones would be Access Point and Clearwell Reservoir, and they can be done in separate motions. I can build this change
Fair
order.
enough, we'll do that.
Okay, we have a motion by Weidrich,
I'll second that.
second by Pillar. Discussion. So it's 42,700, you said?
Mhm.
And we're 40% of that.
Right.
So 17,000. Okay,
If approved.
if approved, any discussion? Roll call.
Weider. Aye. Pillar.
Aye.
Hack. Aye. Stern.
Aye.
Over.
All right, that's carried.
So then the remaining items, I think the access road gate will get the rebid to reuse the one, and then you guys can look for someone local if you want and compare. And the access point and Clearwell Reservoir, so 8,550, and then the subtraction off of the project of about 59,000.
The clean out, so that would just be like the,
What is it?
That
It's a
size,
6
6
or
inch.
6 inch going down with a cap on the top, and it will go into a Y.
So you can go either direction then.
Well,
Can we jet wash both directions or no?
I don't know, I think the only
We
way
can
that we
only
did it
go
was
to
going to
the
the
south.
south because that's
Oh.
the pitch that you're going. So you're really never gonna jet it back up against itself, because you can jet from there down to that point, and then go beyond that. And then what we talked about a little bit is that we still maybe periodically, when we have Pace come on site, just have them check it so that we can kind of see how everything's performing for us with the modifications that we've made.
And what's their price on that?
$8,550.
40% would be $34.20.
So is the state gonna pay, I guess, on a sewer project like this?
That's why we named it.
It's an access point,
Access point.
Okay.
not to be confused with sewer project.
Okay, all right.
So when I spoke with Jared about that, he said that there was another project that they had worked, similar type thing, and it was able to go through because of how it all comes down to language. And so they've got the experience to where that language worked.
You want to do her?
I make a motion that we approve the
Access point.
access point
Yeah.
and the Clearwater negative amount, $50,000.
$58,950.
Motion by Hack.
Second.
Second by Weaver.
So what was the second part?
The clear well.
So Clearwater,
So
the
so
negative,
what you're saying is basically just leave it well enough alone.
Okay.
So I guess what's the plan, I guess, in that property then,
Sell it.
over here?
Sell it with a big concrete pit.
Any more discussion? Roll call.
Hack.
aye,
Weidrich. Aye. Miller. Aye. Stern.
No,
Omenauer.
Aye. Motion carried.
Okay, so that's all of that. What do I have left?
Do we have to address those top ones, or is that just part of that project?
We should address those top ones, the ones that work was already completed throughout the project. And like I said, I'll build this change order and then I'll get it to Monty tomorrow.
So their actuals were right in alignment with what they had forecasted ahead of time?
Yeah.
On the one on top?
Yeah.
Okay.
And just to clarify, some of these bigger ones might not be done this year, depending on the weather, like the hydrants and the access point. That might not be done this year, but we can leave our contract open through next year and get it done.
And clearly the clear water thing here, we've kind of prolonged that, so it would make sense that we wouldn't make it to a completion date that had been discussed earlier. Okay. I'd make a motion to accept the billings on the work that was previously done.
Motion by Pillar.
second.
Second by Hack. Discussion.
And
Roll call.
these all fall under the 40%?
Yeah.
Yep.
Structure.
Roll call.
Miller. Aye. Hack.
Aye,
Stern.
Aye.
Weidrich. Aye. Omenauer.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you.
Okay, the next one's not on your guys' list, I missed it, but Key Contractor did send their invoice. We had John come back and check the manholes, everything looked good, their work was complete. It'll be fun to watch those now and see how those manholes behave for you guys. So they sent their invoice, it was $16,000 for the proposed work, and then they did do two extra bottoms, that was $2,000 a piece. So it came out to $20,000 for their invoice. And then we would recommend the approval of that invoice as well.
So move.
Motion by Weidrich,
Second.
second by Hack. Discussion.
So where was this used at? Or?
We had Key Contracting come in and do the manhole rehab. So they were in town, was that 3 weeks ago now?
Yeah, about
Yeah.
that.
And
So
they,
there's one right over
Not
by,
already approved though?
yeah,
Okay.
we're basically
The work
approving
was
the
approved,
addition.
that was $4,000.
We got 2 adders on the additional ones,
Okay.
and those were pretty cheap.
You had something?
I'm assuming that extra 4,000 was something they ran into
yeah,
as they got in there.
yeah.
Well, we had asked them to look at a couple of
They had them
additional ones.
inspect that one down by, south of Erie's.
Oh,
It goes under the track, and they recommended that we do something with that bottom to get the inspection.
So far, everything's been looking really good.
And when I put John around when he did the inspection, they really made a big difference on pretty much all of them, as far as flow.
And they do a good job of coming through the state. They just stopped in Mandan the other day and did 2 or 3 of them for them too. And they do a good job of explaining it. It's a cool process.
And I know over by, the hub, that one there, they were the boys were hydroblasting the other day. They did get a big chunk or something in there, but it was different, and it's a lot better time in between type situation with that one now, so that's a good thing.
Any more discussion? Roll call.
Weider. Aye. Hack.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye.
And then my last item is just, I'm sure you guys saw they're starting to do the WRT parking lot. So then they're gonna work on the alley. Now starting tomorrow, I think they're gonna start forming it. So we sent them the elevations and the design. It is flat, so we just wanted to warn you guys that it is pretty flat. So there will be bird baths when it's done, smaller bird baths, and that's why we're doing it in concrete to hit those elevations. It's easier with concrete. And they're small enough where they should evaporate within 24 to 48 hours. And it's flat, so we just want you guys not to be surprised if there are bird baths in that when it's done.
So is it running from the center of the east and west?
Yep, it's kind of at the east side of that parking lot, the far east side of the building, the parking lot meeting is the high point, and then it goes east and west from there.
And when they did the design for West River, they don't have any of their downflows from their roofs or building and stuff going to the alley. So this, the water accumulation on that alley in concrete would just basically be rain.
Just the surface.
So I guess, springtime, that's what's gonna happen.
It would just be the stuff that's on the alley that would melt and then
There's snow or something there.
No, but,
There will be ice.
yeah, also I think gonna just flow off if it's flat.
yeah, it's at about a 0.25%.
So I know we already have, like drainage, problems, like streets and stuff that are like sloped,
Mhm. So it will hold a little bit of water, but it should eventually run out with the 0.25%.
I don't think we wanna do this if we know it's gonna hold water.
Well, the alternative would be we pump some more money in there to either put storm sewer type addressing, or I'm not sure what you could do with any kind of pitching or anything like that.
And that was the other alternative we looked at was, are the bird baths going to be dramatic enough to warrant the storm sewer, tens of thousands of dollars of storm sewer, and we didn't think that the bird baths would be severe enough to need the storm sewer and inlets in the area.
I mean, it almost would be, like better off just leave it alone than, 'cause
It's gone now.
well, I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just disappointed, I guess, that's all I'm saying.
And it was adjusted a little bit, so we took the high point and we took it, and then we adjusted all of them to get rid of low spots to get the steady flow from the high point out each way. So we didn't raise the high point because we couldn't with the building there. So we just took it from the high point out to the street and steady flow each way.
set expectations with the contractor to get it perfectly flat so that you don't have as many bird baths.
I'm gonna say, even at my house, I do have, like drainage, but during the spring,
Yeah.
man, do I got water and ice.
That corner is terrible.
So,
I hear you. I guess if there's any consolation, it's an alley versus a main thoroughway. So hopefully you don't have
Yeah,
anybody
we wanna
going
make
through
it-
there at 45 miles an hour.
that's the thing, is we have anyone, anyone, like walking, I guess, in between that area, it's gonna be slick maybe.
And like I said, that's why we did the concrete instead of asphalt. We've had much better luck with concrete compared to asphalt, trying to hit elevations and contractors aware. But that's all I have, unless you guys have questions on the project or any of these other things.
So one of the things that was discussed in last week's construction meeting is that with the implementation of the new water storage facility up there, the residents, and I don't know if it's all residents of Hazen, are going to see an increase in pressure when we switch over to that particular vessel. Is it all of Hazen, or is it just North Hazen, or?
It's a majority of just North Hazen.
Okay. And with that being the case, we were talking about how we were going to communicate that out to residents and stuff like that so that they could be watching for particular things. And some of the warnings were possibly a leak could occur with this increase in pressure. But it should be a positive thing for most of the people up there in the northern part that don't have very much water pressure right now.
So then it's like here on Main Street, I guess the pressure ain't gonna go up.
It shouldn't experience too much. I think a lot of the pressure will be used up north, and then it'll trickle down a little bit down here. So I don't think you guys were having pressure issues down in this Main Street area.
I haven't heard about it as much. I know residents up there along Divide Street can't run sprinkler in their yard because there's not enough pressure for that.
So we looked to try and make sure everyone was above the minimum limits and everything.
Okay.
When we sized it.
Anything else, Grant? Thank you.
Yep.
Under 6, we have 2 requests for free or reduced hall rent, one for St. Paul's Lutheran Church and one for the Lions Club for medical benefit. Anybody wants to tackle those together or separately or none at all?
Make a motion to approve both of them.
Okay, motion by Pillar,
Second.
second by Hack, discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Conditional use permit, building permit, Dustin Snyder and Murray were here earlier. We had a planning and zoning meeting. And the planning and zoning board approved the conditional use permit for their property. They're hoping to hook up water up there into the rural water and then dig their own septic and sewer.
They're hooking up to rural water,
They're
but
hooking
through
up
the
to
city.
our water.
Our water, which,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I mean, same, that's what I mean, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, Southwest water, our water. And so the planning and zoning board approved it, so we have to become this for our approval then.
We also receive trash service from the city.
Yes.
Yes. But not snow removal past Novak's house. Right at that was discussed for a lot, yeah.
Because everybody is
That
driving.
maintained as a private drive.
That's a good, yeah. He said they'll have enough room to turn around, school bus, garbage truck,
So-
whatever.
Excuse me, so is their garbage service gonna be right at the fence line by Novak?
No,
It'll be
So
near
then-
the residents.
what's that?
It was discussed being near the residents.
So then they're, okay. So then they're liable if we have them their driveway plowed, otherwise they don't get.
Yep, that's what we said.
Garbage service.
Just down access, yeah. So we need if you want to approve this, we need to have our blessing.
So, in the past, when we've had residents right at city limits like that receive services from the city, and the request was for a conditional use permit. The compromise from the city, since they were receiving service from the city, was that they would annex in to the city. And the compromise was not all the property was annexed into the city, just the residents. Now, here we're talking about a tract of land of, I was informed about 7 acres,
Yep.
and the construction of the home is going to be in the northwest corner of that. The precedence that the city had there with the other resident was right on. So that entire plat of land wasn't annexed into the city, just the house was, so it was relatively, I say relatively minor. Taxes are then paid to the city based upon the value of that home. I don't know if that's the only, is that the only time that we've done that, Monty?
And some of that has to do with the distance to city services as well.
Right.
Because there are requirements in our ordinance that if you're within a certain distance, you have to connect.
Yep, and that could be the difference in this, so I'm just throwing it out there. The case in the past, the residence was within the limits that made it mandatory that they be tied into city water and sewer. In this case here, it's just city water, so we would have to decide as a board whether or not we just say a conditional use permit that just basically says agricultural land used as a residence, or
Actually,
if there's.
So Monty, do we know right offhand what that, I'm just gonna call it a lower expectation? Are they within that set precedent?
They'd be maybe beyond 400 feet that it's required for connection.
So he could opt to do his own well, and
Yes.
what does the city have into it? So where's the demarcation point, or the curb stop, if you will?
That will be serving him.
Yep.
It will be on his property within so many feet of the water main north of his house.
So there will be a cost for the city of putting in,
No, that will all be his
all
cost.
be his cost, yeah.
So he'll pay for the tie-in.
That connection will be
To the main.
it will be his responsibility.
Is there a motion on this?
not yet.
Now we're just having some general discussion. I'm just giving some background that there has been a case similar to this, but a little bit different.
I get what you're saying. That looks to be like it'd be, you almost have to do the entire 7 acres.
Yeah, if the house is up here,
You know, it's a
that
ways
7 acre
away.
plot is up here. Yeah.
You know, there's, and what the other person did, which is me, is we determined what the standoff was around the house. And so the rectangular space for land is minimal, but paying city taxes on the house, the value of the house. Right. And so you could do a rectangle right up from the boundary line that plats out just that bump that captures that house, and then the remainder of the 7 acres could just be left as agricultural. I don't know, they would have to have it all platted and stuff then to do that, which is what I had to have Interstate come in and create those pins and stuff.
I could see that being done if it was in the northeast corner. If it being in the northwest, you're gonna have to go diagonally across this property basically to catch it.
Is the shape of that 7 acres a rectangle?
Yes.
Yeah. Really, the road goes like this.
But I don't know that there's
Not
anything that
homeless.
stipulates the road has to be annexed in. What I'm saying is if you did a rectangle straight up
Oh, I
like this
see.
here,
Yeah, I get you.
now
Yeah, the
then
road
you
doesn't
get
have
the
to be
house in
there.
there. But, you know, you have to consider whether or not it's a win-win. I don't know. I always like to look for a win-win with our citizens in the city.
Yeah.
Was there any discussion along those lines at all in your guys' meeting?
No, that's, well, if this board wanted to do that, like, doesn't have to go back to planning and zoning, that doesn't want to.
You have a final.
I know we endeavored earlier as a board to bring other areas into the city confines.
We have,
You have a city street that goes right up effectively to the driveway that will be serviced by the city. So that landowner would be the recipient of those services from the city as well.
any other thoughts?
And that would be the only access is technically through the city for him. So you won't be able to come in from the north really. I mean, there's a couple
He
section lines.
could come in from the north and the west on that access road to the old water tower. He could run that way, that's,
Somebody
not in
would
the
have-
winter.
Somebody would have to clean that in the winter time.
Yeah, not in the winter, you
It's
couldn't.
viable.
And our access road, our maintenance road going up there, he's not gonna have access to
It's
that.
not gonna have access
No.
there, no.
Well, if it's gonna be done, it's gonna be done now. It can't be done after the fact, correct?
I suppose you could
I suppose it
condition
could-
on him annexing, or you would have to, you would be able to connect to city water, you'd have to get his own connection to Southwest.
Could do that.
I mean, that
I'm not
would,
sure that's the avenue I want to take, but
that would be his option, but he would still need to have an approved conditional use permit.
So if we did want to annex it, that portion, that small portion up to his house, how would we do it?
It would be his responsibility to have the surveyors come in, plat it out like that, and then it just gets put into the books and stuff as such. It's up to the landowner.
If he wants. City can try to annex, but then he'd have a legal right to fight it.
Sure. And again, I'm only throwing that out there because that path has been traveled. And
sure, so the argument would be justifiable because it's already happened.
Because it's already happened, yeah.
And he did talk about, the 7 acres, who knows, might have put a little development up there. That was mentioned, kind of in tongue in cheek a little bit. But what if there is 3 more houses up there, then it's gonna, they're not in that tract. Then we have to annex again.
Yep. But it would already be platted as such, so it's not an insurmountable thing to do if you were to choose to plat that out to sell it for a couple of additional homes or whatever.
Okay, I'm gonna give us another minute or so in case someone wants to make a motion. If not, we'll move forward with just approving the conditional use permit. So we have
Can we
no,
bring that map out again? What's the idea of, I mean, we got to have a strip,
So his house is up there in the northwest, but it's.
kind of where it says Dustin, between the west and the side. There you go.
And then you just make a small rectangle up just to catch the,
We scroll back down, Monty, where you have the
where
grid.
his house is, there you can kind of see it.
Yeah.
I want, we go back up to the other one. Cause he's gonna be up here.
Mhm.
So you make basically a small rectangle up just to catch.
Not at an angle, you would just do a perpendicular. And effectively, you could do it just like that with the 10-foot or whatever on the back of the house, and then everything surrounding that would still be the agricultural, and you wouldn't be obligated to any city tax on the rest of that.
So
by
this
the line.
footage right here, I'm just thinking, what they come back as. We'll clean up to there, but you guys clean that portion because you won't annex it in.
No, no, that has nothing to do with
No.
it.
No, doesn't have
I mean, the
any.
fact that you're annexed into the city,
Right.
it's still your personal property.
Yeah.
Nobody comes in and cleans my driveway for me because it's annexed into the city. It's just like your driveway that's in the city limits.
Gotcha.
It's cool if Dave would come clean my driveway for me in the winter.
Well, I guess I'm just thinking.
The obligation to the city would be no different with that in there. The only idea behind the annexation is the services that are provided from the city or made available from the city. That somebody, if you're way out in a field someplace and you go to Mercer County and get a conditional use permit, there all you're getting is just the change of classification to be able to put a house on there.
So I'll make a motion to annex that in and approve the, conditional use permit, just like Monty has highlighted on there.
Okay, we have a motion by Weider.
Second.
Second by Hack. Discussion?
Question?
Casey?
So we will be pursuing this annexation.
I think we just give the response back. I mean,
Okay. But if they don't want to annex, then he's not approved on his conditional use.
Maybe you guys should go both split that, two different ones?
I know.
well,
Probably.
what we would need in the motion is what the condition is. I mean, so, well, we provide city trash service to people outside of city limits, so it's not like you would say, well, if you choose not to be annexed, then we won't provide trash service and
Right.
water.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to make it sound like it's you're stuck with this type of thing, but they do have the opportunity to say, no, we really don't want to be annexed into the city.
So is that the condition? If they say no, then they don't let them tap into our water, they get drill their own well?
Well, that's not how the motion is named right now.
No, it's not.
Basically, what it would be is if they say no, then they won't get the conditional use permit, and then maybe they come back and ask again or something, I don't know. It would probably be prudent for us to make it in some way so that it,
I amend my motion to remove the approval of the conditional use permit.
So you just want to proceed with the annexation?
For right now, yes.
Okay, we have a motion to just annex. We need a second.
So then plain devil's advocate well, I guess I'd wait for a second. Are you seconding his,
And second by Hack.
so then my question would be, okay, well, if I say yes, that we get annexed in, have you approved our conditional use permit, or do we have to come back to the city again?
Well, you have to come back, I believe. Mhm.
Basically, you know.
But not to the planning and zoning,
Okay,
correct,
No,
Monty?
no, it wouldn't require another public hearing.
Right.
I'm just throwing it out there so that we're prepared to answer any questions that they might have,
Yeah.
given the situation.
And we can always use the case of that other property that was annexed, because very similar situation.
So I guess don't we need to know, I guess first, what is it that we're going to, I guess, bring into the city? You know, not just draw up whatever.
It would have to be surveyed.
Yeah.
But I mean, so then on this next motion, I guess, what are we just approving then?
The annexation of the home into the city. But that stipulates that has to be contiguous with city limits, correct?
Yes. And then you have to have the survey
Yep.
defining the boundaries of what's going to be annexed. So at this point, that would be our cost.
That would be the city's cost?
Because we are proceeding with the annexation.
Oh,
They have not petitioned to annex.
Yeah,
I
so
didn't
that's all,
petition to annex. It was presented that the stipulation for me
They
was
want a
to get the
condition.
conditional use permit, you would need to be annexed into the city. That's the way it was set up for my situation.
Yeah.
So if I would have said no, then I probably couldn't have built the house because I fell within the restrictions of the city where I'm mandatorily tied in. So that is a
So they
difference,
did a conditional use with a condition that you annex
right?
to get the approval.
So he did a conditional use under the condition of annexing in. I don't know if that changes your thoughts on how you want to present your,
yeah, because we'll be liable for code for that, right? That's
If
what I'm hearing.
if we are proceeding with it,
Yeah,
it would be at our expense.
but we would be receiving city taxes
But you'd be getting
on that property
out of it, so
forever and ever, amen.
you pay now and, you know, a year or two will pay itself back.
Okay, we have a motion by Pillar and a second
No.
by,
I mean.
oh, sorry, thank you. A motion by Weidrich, second by Hack. Any more discussion?
So I guess on this vote now is just for the,
Right now, you're voting
change
on
of
the
the motion.
motion to amend to just proceed with the annexation of the property without approval of the conditional use.
so then after that, there's gonna be then
Then it would be,
one more vote.
there would be a vote on the motion, which is
Unless he
basically,
amended his amending.
in either vote, you will not have any action on the conditional use permit. Because the motion is now being amended to remove any approval of the conditional use permit. So basically, you're voting on a motion to annex the property. Or to proceed with annexation of the
Which
property.
we were gonna put the bill on all those annexations in the past, had they done.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, any more discussion? Roll call.
Weider.
Aye.
Hack.
I,
Pillar.
Aye.
Stern.
No,
Omenauer.
Aye. Motion carried.
I don't know if it's necessary now since the motion is amended to proceed with annexation of the property. Because you removed any referral to the conditional use permit by the amendment.
Yeah, see, that's the thing here that I'm concerned, we just said, well, we just approved that we're gonna annex that portion of that property into it. Now he says, well, I'm not gonna build my house then. We still have approved to annex that into the city.
We wouldn't want to, you're not gonna build a house.
Right, the only reason to annex that into the city
Would be for the house.
is for if a house is constructed on there and it's gonna be receiving services from the city. This is complicated.
So I guess I'm a little bit,
Confused?
Yeah.
Well, I think we're in a conundrum right now, because we just said we're gonna annex that into the city without any kind of conditions attached to it. And I don't think that's what our intention really is.
You
You could, and it's too bad that's not here, I was just thinking out loud here, if a guy could move to approve the conditional use permit with the condition that within a certain time frame, be it petition for annexation or the city will proceed with annexation.
that would be, make more
That'd
sense.
probably be the only way we could
Would make more
make
sense.
this work.
Can you write down what you just said and then read it back to us?
Then how do we change what we just did?
You'd have to, Dustin would have to make a motion to withdraw that
Okay.
last one.
So I'll make a motion to withdraw my last motion to annex in that property.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Well, we use Jason, okay, yeah, we have to use it.
So,
Thank you, Monty, I didn't know that. Hold up by Robert's rules, well enough. We have a motion and a second, discussion. Roll call.
Weider.
Aye.
Hack.
aye.
Pillar.
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye. Okay, that is withdrawn.
Okay, Dustin, start over.
Okay. Monty, you want to read that back to us first?
Motion to approve conditional use permit as requested, conditioned upon application or petition for annexation within whatever time frame you want. If no such petition, the city will proceed with
2 weeks.
annexation.
That'll give them an opportunity to explore it, understand what it means.
2 weeks, okay. So moved with 2 weeks.
Okay, we have a motion by Weidrich,
Second,
second by Hack. Discussion.
Question on the boundaries of this. Is that open-ended now to whatever?
that's what I was wondering too.
That's the way it was presented to me. There's, there's requirements within the city as to what your property line has to be. And so when I visited with Mr. Froharp at the time, he says, as far as we're concerned, Dan, as long as you meet the requirements for the property lines and stuff like that, that's all you have to do.
Basically, can't build within
Whatever our ordinance
Yeah,
says.
you got
it's-
your setbacks of
You
10
got your
or
setbacks.
15.
whatever the setbacks are, and then that would just continuously back to.
So you effectively could create the skinniest rectangle that meets the requirements of the offsets.
Including the backyard for the offset.
I have a motion to approve the conditional use permit as requested, conditioned upon petitioner to annex portion of property containing dwelling within city setbacks within 2 weeks, or city will proceed with annexation proceedings.
That still
leaves,
us,
the conditional thing there with the approval of the conditional use permit is tied to them petitioning to be annexed into the city.
Okay,
The second
so
part of it,
didn't want the city proceeding.
let's leave that out of there.
So we can assume they're not gonna want to do this.
Motion to approve conditional use permit as requested, conditioned upon petitioner to annex portion of property containing the dwelling with city setbacks within 2 weeks.
That puts the onus completely on Mr. Snyder to, if he says, well, I need a conditional use permit to build my house here, or put my house here, so then they would then initiate the request to the city to annex in that portion. Then that puts it on the homeowner as the funder. Is that a word, funder? No, the payer of the bills for getting it annexed.
Okay, we have a motion and then a second. Any more
Should we
discussion?
have a second?
Yep.
Jason?
Yep.
That seems cleaner. All right. Roll call.
Weider.
Aye.
Hack.
aye,
Pillar.
Aye.
Stern.
No.
Omenauer.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, see you again. What's that? Reports. Water sewer.
Water, sewer, we just finished up as Dave mentioned, the site up there, by the hall. That piping's been replaced. We found 2 leaks. They came to repair the one leak. Just prior to that, we found the second, so we did both of those repairs. We had said we were gonna do that and approve that ahead of time, but that work has been done and everything's been reclaimed to normal conditions. So that's all I have tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Number 6, I'm sorry. Yep.
Okay, streets.
but the only thing I've got, and Dave can touch on this, is we've got right now I'm gonna call it a conundrum with your caseloader. Hopefully it's not a conundrum, but Dave, could you explain kind of where we're at with that situation?
I've been busy with the guys, the noise in the front differential isn't getting any better. I did draw an oil sample, figured out enough hours on it. I've been talking with the shop foreman down at Titan Machine, and it's, best case would be around 15,000 if they would get it out, get it apart, and it's not repairable or whatever, it would jump there up to about 33,000 for a rebuild differential for us.
So basically, we're hoping for a clean bill of health on the oil sample, so we don't have to cross that bridge. But we're still,
And to get the machine down and back, you're looking at probably $1,500. And last time we sent it to Bismarck, I think it was $750 each direction to get it down there and to get it back, the transportation part of it. So we're gonna get the oil sample back, I'll send Titan the results, and they'll come back with some kind of a recommendation on what's in the oil. If they feel just another straight oil change and a flush would help it, cure it, or if it definitely needs to come out and be taken apart.
Okay. Keep your fingers crossed.
yeah, that's all I really have, unless Dave, you got anything else?
No, the guys are working on trimming trees, sweeping, so pretty much ready for winter when it gets here. for the most part.
Thank you. Finance, busing, library,
They think it's done.
police, fire.
Only thing I really have is we're down to 29 members on the fire department, so if you guys, any of you guys need any extra time for another project, we're hiring.
You're hiring, paying well.
Yeah, you get free pop every once in a while, and food once a month.
Is
That's all I
that
got.
it? Buster?
Yeah, so, we've gotten some of our, data back from the surveys, from the partner and planning grant. And what we're doing, the next step that we're doing now is we're set up for October 12th. In the morning, we're planning to meet with the kids at the high school. Well, we'll probably meet with them here, but meet with the high school kids. Looking to have a group of probably 10 to 12 students, actually in the focus group. And then we'll have an exercise that we'll do with them, which of course will be led by our consultant. So that'll be in the morning from probably 9:30 to 10:30, and then from 11:30 to 1, we're gonna have the business focus group. And we're planning to do that at the Bison. And it'll be a noon luncheon, kind of a working luncheon type of thing, and do the same kind of exercise with them in terms of where things are at. And then what will happen after that is we'll kind of, the consultant will kind of analyze those results. And then the third focus group that we'll have will be the community at large focus group. And that's going to be a little bit later, probably more like into November or December. Part of the reason for that is of tying some of that other information in so that we make sure we have a good handle on the other pieces of information that we got from the kids and also the business community. And then with the community. So in terms of just a little bit of a recap, we had 112 kids that took the survey, okay? We had 44 businesses that took the survey, and we had 217 community members that took the survey as well. So the consultant feels pretty comfortable with the fact that those are good numbers, and so the information that we should be getting back would be pretty accurate, valid type of thing because of the numbers. So that's where we're at with that piece, and we're still right on track relative to the timelines that we had established for the grant. So yeah, and so there'll be a press release that I'm going to be probably getting to Dan tomorrow to just advertise the event on the 12th for the business community, and then Antoinette and I will make certain that we have, we want to try to have at least 12 different businesses represented for the business community one, because I think that's going to be pretty important to see what we can do in terms of getting input from that group of folks. And then later on when we get to the community one, I'm not sure how we'll shuffle through that, because, out of 217 folks that responded, selecting 12 or whatever it might be able to, Monty's doing a pull out of draw out of the hat, and the only other thing is I haven't seen really or heard anything from Moore Engineering in terms of what's happening from the city's perspective with Moore. I don't know, Monty, have you heard anything?
No, basically, they're still waiting to see, what kind of recommendations there are going to be as
Or
far as
some of the
structure
other piece,
needs.
Yeah, and I can tell you this, that, some of the things that our consultant was out, Marty was out actually a week ago, Monday, and he met with us in person, Antoinette and I. We talked about Main Street, that we want to really focus on some of the, what's going on in Main Street, the beautification of Main Street, also some of the abandoned buildings, those kinds of things. And so hopefully we'll be able to get some good feedback relative to that. We also talked about, we did talk about the bike paths again in terms of getting the city encircled with the bike path. He was going to do some research to see, because Main Street used to be the highway, and he was going to do some research to see if possibly that might be in a position to still be grandfathered in as part of a highway. And if so, then, there could be probably some federal dollars that could be tied to some of that. So we'll see what happens with that. But so those are kind of some of the high points that we talked about. Questions?
Thanks, Buster. All right, moving down to 11. 11A, bike path repairs, Antelope Drive Bridge. Looks like we have an estimate from Rock Solid, $3,179.
I did today also receive estimate from Mr. Meisner. Basically, this says $1,750 each side, so I'm thinking a total of $3,500 for those by the bridge, and he included the ramp. And we had discussed briefly the ADA ramp accessing that sidewalk for $1,675, and then Dave had inspected that drainage area over there where the water runs under that sidewalk. And we have a bid of an estimate of $1,975 to redo that as well. So you've got that one estimate for raising those panels near that bridge walking path, and then the other stuff, which doesn't really involve mud jacking, would be removed and replaced.
So he would jackhammer it out, he would build it up and then re-pour it so that it's actually appropriate.
Correct.
For about $3,400 or whatever.
Correct.
You'd have all brand new concrete there, and you'd have a foundation, that's solid underneath it.
Versus $3,200 and just mud jacking it.
I guess when I asked the question about the mud jacking, I wasn't certain how the pricing would come out and stuff like that. My opinion is that with them as close as they are, I would say tear it out and put in brand new concrete with a foundation in it. I don't know how long this stuff lasts when you mud jack up a sidewalk.
I have no idea. If it's 5 years, it goes slouches back down. I don't know.
Yeah, I had some done on my house when I first moved into it. It is good for probably 10 years, but
This is I'm gonna say a high traffic area, relatively high traffic. You got bikes and people going on it all the time and stuff like that. So that last thing that you said was for water flowing under,
That's right by Stephens where the water runs under the sidewalk
Okay.
to the creek. The actual trough itself, or the drain that goes across, is actually sticking up. It's gonna be a trip hazard.
Yeah.
We pulled the drain out of there and the floor of the trough is
I
cracked,
saw
so
it.
everything
I
is
saw it
dropping,
yesterday.
so that
Yep.
the opening is getting narrower and it's pushing that grading up out of there.
Monty, is that 3 different bids there then?
Yep, the
Yeah,
ADA
there's
ramp.
the 3 different things.
Yeah.
So I make a motion to approve all 3 bids from Meisner.
We have a motion by Weidrich, second by Pillar. Did he give us a timeline at all, Monty?
No, he did not. Unfortunately, I was gone Friday when he dropped it off. So.
Okay. That's the only thing I'd hope he get work on that this fall yet, especially the bridge portion.
So then on the first, I guess, line item, on the mud jacking deal. Where's it at?
That's still all by the Antelope Creek Bridge.
Those two pieces right there.
On the, right over by your,
Yeah, that one on the other side of the
bridge.
So that curve though, what, oh, that curve right there.
This curve right
Oh, I
here.
see. What's wrong with that curve?
Well, once he raises this all up, that curve will be so
That's
much
right.
lower as well.
Okay, all right, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Any more discussion? Roll call.
Weider. Aye. Pillar. Aye. Hack.
I,
Stern.
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye, motion carried. Hopefully get to that. Okay, moving down to 11B, part-time sanitation worker position. We have an applicant?
We have an applicant who is currently employed by Hazen Parks and Rec for the summer. His work with them will be ending soon. I discussed this a little bit with Dan, that maybe we'd just like to bring him in and interview him.
Have you had any experience with the individual, Dave?
He's been with Scott, we've helped him move picnic tables around, visited with him, seems like a personable fellow.
So I guess it was up to you guys if you wanted to do a brief interview with Dave and.
And that's the reason I asked that question. I don't want to waste anybody's time. If the individual's got a track record that we feel comfortable with the park board, and if Dave's had some experience with his own staff working with the individual, I'm going to give more merit to you guys on making the decision on that, on whether or not we need, at this point, to even carry out an interview, or it's been kind of on-the-job training for a couple of years. Dave, your thoughts?
Yeah, I have no problem, I've been around
interview.
with him and Scott, I feel he'd be a pretty good fit.
Legally, do we have to interview? Okay.
I mean, for his job and ours, it would kind of, we'll just say domino effect into when do we need him and when we don't need him type situation.
Well, we would define the part-time job, and then whatever time is left, I talked to Monty a little bit. It sounds like he may be interested in still doing what he had been doing with Park Service.
Correct.
And that effectively.
Our main purpose for him will be the 3 days a week on the garbage truck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dave
So
and I
he would
agree.
be compensated from the city for that, and healthcare, all that kind of stuff would be that percentage or whatever, how we do it with part-time folks.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works with Park and Rec.
Parks and Rec does not offer any benefits except for full-time staff.
Not that that makes any difference on whether we interview or not, but do you feel it's necessary to
I don't really think so.
go on this time?
Okay.
Maybe,
I visited with him over at the Park and Rec building and told him we were looking for somebody
okay,
for the full-time, part-time position, but I said, boy, it'd really be nice to have somebody just for this winter, and I asked him when he was getting laid off, if he'd be interested. And he, yeah, I think I'll go talk to Monty, so he
okay.
got a hold of Monty right away, so.
Can you start right away?
I would say is, yeah, by next week, Monday, I would say.
Okay,
Then I'll make a motion to the board that we pursue Mr. Smith and offer him up this part-time position.
motion by Pillar,
Second.
second by Hack. Discussion. We've got no other applicants, correct?
Correct.
I don't want the impression to be that we're scraping the bottom of the barrel here either by making that statement, but
I just want to make, it's not like we've had people that were not interviewing.
on the doors.
Right.
Yeah. Roll call.
Pillar.
Aye.
Hack.
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Weidrich.
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye, motion carried. 12A, repair estimate for the transit van.
The 2014 Transit van is a little perplexing apparently. We've had everything from the AC condenser needs to be replaced, to the transmission needs to be replaced, to the full motor. Basically breaking it down, there was a quote from Mandate to replace the engine at $11,227. We have 3 different estimates from Hazen Motor Company.
anything from replacing the engine assembly complete to the crankshaft. Nothing about a transmission, but an AC compressor as well. So we don't have any solid agreement between two different entities as to what the problems are with this vehicle?
Correct.
First
And it's a
question I have
2014 vehicle that is basically beyond useful life according to the state DOT, because it's something we really want to fix.
That was exactly what I was gonna ask, when we actually replace it. So I stopped, after I got this, Friday, and looked at it, I was really confused and you were gone already. So I went up and talked to Kim and Andy that actually looked at it. They're not positive of what it is. They said it's definitely something deep in the bottom end, but they don't know what. But he said it's got really good oil pressure yet. He said it may run that way for quite a while yet. He said it definitely is not just gonna die like that. It'll get worse before it gets better.
Or does this go to the casino and stuff?
No, this is just the transit van. Basically, it's used mostly when the other van goes to Bismarck on Wednesdays. They have been keeping it in town. They haven't been taking it out of town.
He said it could possibly run for years like that, but he definitely said that the AC compressor is bad, it's shot.
I don't know how we sink that kind of money into a 2014 vehicle.
With 120,000 miles on it
If you're
already.
gonna sell it outright, it's for $5,000
Or less.
or less.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Casey, you
I
want
would
it?
say, I guess, I would say, I guess, not pricey, if you take a zero off and you're talking about.
Okay. I knew that. I don't know, maybe it makes sense to fix the air conditioning condenser unit and just keep going. If it dies, but what, if it dies, what do we do? We're without a transit van?
No, we still have the 2019.
How much was the condenser unit? Yeah,
$1,100.
So Mandate didn't think it needed a condensing unit, or were they not asked?
No, they
No,
were just asked to diagnose what they thought the issue was.
Oh,
Yeah, it said it was shot too.
and they were the one that,
Yeah, AC compressor.
so it's one of those things, we really don't want to work on it,
Always,
but if we have to, this is what it's gonna
always
cost.
including AC compressor. Whatever.
Okay.
I know they brought it over to the shop and had me listen at it that one day, and it really changes from when you turn the air conditioner on and off.
Yeah.
It's a lot quieter with the air conditioner off, you turn the air on, it gets worse, but I think it has some other electrical issues also.
Okay, you want to do anything to it or just let it ride?
I say if we're gonna keep it in the fleet though as a backup, that we limit it to city traffic only. I don't want it breaking down even between here and Beulah.
Yeah,
I
well,
would prefer it stay within city limits.
Guess I would like to see that if we're gonna keep using it, at least fix the air conditioner, because that does affect the defrosters too.
it does.
Yeah, when you
Gonna say, do we-
when you turn the
True.
defrosters on,
Yeah.
it kicks the air compressor.
Yeah.
No, AC
That's a good point.
compressor in to cut the humidity.
It'll just fog up in the winter time too, so.
Well, I guess many of my,
Vehicles never had,
no, yeah, they didn't have air conditioning.
good point.
Didn't work.
And if it being almost October, we wouldn't need the AC until for another 6-7 months. Maybe we'll die before that. So, I don't know. If you think we need it for defrost, I guess, I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's what helps. So Casey brings up a good point. There were cars for years that didn't have air conditioning and the defroster still worked. You just have to crack your window a little bit.
Let's see how it goes.
The recommendation is to just keep running it, but keep it in town.
yeah,
Keep an eye on it, I guess.
With all due respect.
All right.
Keep oil in it.
Okay, number 13, public comments. We have no one here outside. Well, so we'll move down to approval of bills.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Pillar, second by Hack. Discussion. Roll call.
Miller.
Aye.
Hack.
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Weider. Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, guys. You can all expect a phone call.